see the world and just show them what it really means to live life golden. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden.
Lona umthetho Nyambose uzosixoxela kabanzi Women's Hiking njengoba sihlangana njengamadoda ukuthi athi ukuthi sihlafa ngomlando and give us a little bit of a preview to the local areas and surroundings to Newcastle, and he's coming from the side of Mpumalanga where there is a different story, there's a different line of heritage from their side pertaining history from the beginning and the formations of the land and the towns, or should I say the mini cities that we live in. He's going to give us a little bit of a story pertaining the kings, the rulership of KwaZulu before it became KwaZulu Natal under the reign of Prince Mangosuthu kaphinda ngene uzosithatha nje kancane to the storyline. Over to you lapho baba Mthetho.
Good day, men of strength,
men of courage.
Men of courage. No, we are here, guys. It's a privilege that we sit like this to discuss such issues. There's a saying that the far back you can see or look to history is the furthest you can go to the future, because you'll understand the dynamics of life, how things happen, why they happen that way. So you'll be on the advantage. So we'll just have a small zoom into the wars that happened in South Africa, particularly in KZN, and see what impact they made, and then why are we where we are, because they determined where we are. So there's a war which is popular, well known, the Anglo-Boer War. It is as if it's the only Anglo war that happened or occurred in history. But if you check into history, there are lots of Anglo wars where the British were fighting for land or for access, for shipping. One particular that I can recall out of South Africa is the Anglo-Egypt War, where they were fighting for the English Channel. So the British, they wanted an easier route which passes via Egypt to the southern part or the eastern side of the African continent. So there was a big war there which changed the course of history. It even changed the natives of the land of Egypt. And then there's another popular one which is Anglo-Boer War, which was a war between the English and the Afrikaners, which drove the Afrikaners from the Cape to come up to KZN, Mpumalanga, up to Limpopo. And when they went up, they discovered a lot of things. They were courageous in their right. They discovered diamond. Some of them even settled there by the Kimberley side, and even as you see the Johannesburg, the gold was discovered by the Boers beside the farming. So the Boers were divided into two. There were Boers which were farmers, and there were Boers which were into politics or economics. Paul Kruger was the main character in the politics of that time. They were they gave birth to the South African politics before the ANC, before the IFP and stuff. So the world politics revolved around them, which changed the course of history and the focus of the world to South Africa. So, but today we will only focus on the Anglo-Zulu War, of which we'll have a small quiz about it. I've got a book here written by Professor Lombard and Iron Knight, the Anglo-Zulu War. So I will just read the review of the book, and then we'll have a short quiz to see how you can recall. So it reads as follows. The Anglo-Zulu War of the 1879 was typical of the Victorian era in that it was a champion waged not only against the courageous and resourceful enemy, but also against distant and natural obstacles. Leonard General Lord Chelmsford who commanded the British force, was the product of the late Victorian military establishment, an officer and a gentleman with considerable experience in the field. Okay, as I continue. Who nonetheless made the fatal mistake of underestimating the fighting ability of the Zulus. The result was serious, of shocking disaster, most notably the Battle of Isandlwana, where the Zulus overran a British camp and slaughtered more than 1,300 of its defenders. The champion became a brutal slogging fight in which British firepower was pitted repeatedly against Zulu numbers, and bravely until Chelmsford ultimately vindicated both his reputation and British prestige at the Battle of Ulundi. This vivid account explored the war as it appeared to the professional and amateur war correspondents who covered it in extraordinary depth in both the British and the colonial press, describing not only the pitched battle but much of the human drama for everyday championing from the variety of perspectives. These reports are linked together by the narrative which place them in the military, political, and social context of the war. So this book summarizes, it's like a Bible of the time. They were compiling the reports and the newspapers of the time to compile the depth of the war, which was not documented directly. So we'll have a short quiz of what I read, and then we'll open a discussion. Are you still with me, gentlemen? Or are you sleeping?
Yes, we are with you.
Tired. Okay. So our quiz, ice-breaking quiz, starts as follows. Who won the Anglo-Boer War of Sandlwana? Anglo-Zulu War. Who won the Anglo-Zulu War of Sandlwana? The war between the British and the Zulus at Sandlwana. There's a hand. There's a hand.
It was the Zulus.
Yeah. We're rolling.
Yes, because the Anglo underestimated the Zulus. I heard that.
Yeah. Okay. Which year was the Anglo-Zulu War? Oh, there's a hand.
Come closer to the mic.
Okay, ngakhuluma
1879. Yes. Round of applause. Okay. Okay, this is an easy one. What was the greatest downfall of the defeated side of the Anglo-Zulu War? The answer has already been raised. What was the greatest downfall? The mic. Yeah, go closer to the mic, please.
The downfall was that the Zulu slaughtered 1,300 of the British defenders.
No, that's a strength of the other side. The downfall of the defeated.
Oh, the downfall was that they underestimated the fighting strength of the Zulus.
Okay, following one. Hey, these guys, you are jumping the gun, guys. Who was the commanders, yes, of the British force and the Zulu force? This is a tough one. Okay.
Can we answer half?
Yeah, you can answer half. You can answer one. Yeah.
Is it the?
Who was commanding the Zulus? Who was commanding the British?
I believe I hope I get this right.
Yeah.
So the British commander his first name was Leonard.
Yes, yeah. Got it. Thank you. For the Zulus.
It was, it's Chelmsford or Chelmsford.
Lord Chelmsford. The Lieutenant General Lord Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford.
Lord,
it's like president or commander or chief. Yeah.
Honorary.
Yeah. Okay, the Zulus. Bare mkhuzwempi. Ayikho lapha.
Wazani madoda bani umkhuzi wempi.
Bani umkhuzi.
Impi yasesandlwana.
Yes, wazani madoda.
Esandlwana
La. Leli Smith.
La nje.
Bekubani konje?
Mawudlule enquthu nje wase. Hayi madoda wazani.
Impi yasesandlwana.
Google.
Oh, can we?
Yeah. You can Google.
This is informative. It's not an exam. It's an informative quiz. Who there?
The question was the question.
Yeah, who was the commander of the Zulus in the Anglo-Zulu War? Ethi Sandlwana. Yeah, I'll check.
Inkosi uqetshwayo wayelapha. Inkosi uqetshwayo yona.
Yeah, i-commander sothi inkosi. Yeah, ngoba inkosi inkosi ekhomba uthi hayi akiyo.
Azani. Yeah.
Ntsengwayo.
Kama Ole Khoza.
Yeah. Should Khoza lo was the mastermind in this.
Let's hear that recorded.
Yeah. Okay. Just shoot two more left. Second to last. How many British soldiers were slaughtered at the Anglo-Zulu War?
1,300.
Are you sure?
Yes, 1,300.
All right. Recorded. 1,300 and more.
Recorded.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
Guys, don't give me
Okay, the last one on record here. Then we can shuffle ourselves around if we have more. Where did the commander of the British vindicated both his reputation and his prestige?
Where,
yes. And if the war started in Sandlwana, and then they were running, where did they really bury them?
You read it in the review?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Okay, there we go.
I heard something like Ulundi.
Yes.
Ulundi, almost stiga.
So Ulundi was the final battle of the Anglo-Zulu where they buried them. Yeah, and the tombstone of this guy is also there. It's maybe one day we'll hike Ulundi.
Where is it?
Central KZN.
Okay.
The heart at the sitting throne.
Yeah, actually it was a capital town of KZN, yeah, Lund. So
call it
Ondini, yeah, Lund olmahlikihli.
Yes, Ondini.
Yeah.
And then umahlikihli, you know how it came about? Okay, Ulundi, Maktual Mahlegihlegi, it came about in a sense whereby after they've captured Inkosi Ucetshwayo through the informant who was a bishop at that time, who is called Melmoth. He was a bishop. He actually was an informant of the English. It was not the Boers, it was the English, because the Boers were the farmers, so they were okay with the how we arrange ourselves. It was the English that wanted dominance. So when they've captured the Inkosi Ucetshwayo, when Inkosi Ucetshwayo was on the shores of the ocean, on the boat, on the ship, it was big, on the ship, he looked back and then he wept and he cried and he said, Ulundi Olumahlegihlegi, because the way it was messed up after the war. It was a mess. So the word Mahlegihlegi, it means how can I say, wrecked, a wrecked place. Yes, that's where Lundi Mahlegihlegi comes in, and it's a very deep, sorrowful story how it all came after that. But it was one of the greatest moments in history.
Yeah. So to wrap up, then we'll have an open discussion. If there is a war, there's a risk, and whenever there's a risk, there's a gain. So as Gatsheni has illustrated, that after the war, everything becomes redundant or destroyed. So if that land has been destroyed, the one that's going to raise that land will have the power. So whenever there is a war, there are a lot of components or sectors or departments that gain. If you look at industrialization, the mass production of cars, it was given birth after the Second World War, because they were producing so much, they had capacity to produce, and then when the war is over, the capacity is still there. So hence they used the production lines for Henry Ford, used that same concept to produce his Ford, and then when there was mass production of cars, the people couldn't buy cars not most people could afford cars. That way came banks and finances. So from war, there are a lot of things that are given birth to. Even the politics of women empowerment. In the United States, women were not working, were not allowed to work. But when all the men were at war, the country had to be fed. So people had to work in factories. So women started working that time. So when the men came back, the women were skilled. They were not skilled. So that's where it came, those gender-based, not gender-based violence, that gender equality, women's rights, all those things. So politics also is given birth through wars. So I will wrap up and then I'll open the floor.
Okay.
For any inputs.
Yeah, and then there's a question that I want to ask regarding. There's a question that I want to ask regarding the story behind Newcastle area, especially the place of monuments, because the English always create monuments for their heroes, those who they consider heroes. So for the likes of Chelmsford, who was the commander, they made a monument after his name. Who can guess what monument is that? Who can guess randomly?
In the question?
Who can guess the monument that was created to remember or to put him in history? To put his name in history?
Would that
No, it's around Newcastle.
Would that not be like a statue of him, guessing?
Not a statue.
Okay.
But it can go like that, but you can guess. Where is it? And it's well known.
Well,
It's not in the
It's
moment.
well known.
Let me
It's
guess.
well known. Like
let me
The
guess.
dam.
No.
what?
Let me
Can go.
guess.
Guess.
Go for it.
I think it's Fort Amin.
Fort Amir.
Yeah, it's in Amil Park.
And which is the next one? Which is a big one now? That's where you can answer that one.
Okay, is the dam in its entirety
It's called
the symbol Chelmsford Dam?
Yes, Chelmsford Dam is named after him.
Whoa,
because
okay.
Chelmsford Dam is where they came from as their fourth column.
Okay.
You see, the English 14 columns. So Chelmsford comes from one of the fourth columns towards Ondini, where they met the first king, which is Usihayo at that time. That's where they provoked the king, Isolenkos. That is Chelmsford then. Right. Hand of applause, guys, he got it. And to him. Yes. Don't say no pape. Yeah. So
my history.
The last part.
Okay. So now I'll just pass the mic for everyone to say something, what he thinks of the war, or maybe the new war that we are fighting, beside the physical gun and blood war, because there are lots of wars that we are facing.
Can I just step in and set a tone as well?
All right.
Maybe to stretch this further, maybe everyone should say his what did they say?
Perspective. Not as such.
Not like perspective, but your expectation about today's gathering.
Okay.
To set the tone just before we dive into
the expectation.
Yeah. Or what's your relevance about today's hike?
Yeah. Okay, answer it, Will. Who's first? What was your expectation regarding the hike? No,
it's not done. Oh.
You can speak.
Anyone is allowed.
You can
to
speak
start.
from there. The reason is my big. What was your expectations regarding the hike?
Okay, I will shoot.
It's fine.
As we say. You know what? I honestly love and am increasing my love for hiking, but to see, because I saw the advert of the men's hike. It's not something I've done. Definitely, it's my first men's hike, and I was definitely looking forward to it. You know, being able to connect with guys instead of always. As you know, men, we try to speak to women more often so than our own guy friends. So, yeah, and it's great to be a part of this experience. Thank you for organizing it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes,
hi guys. Okay. I would like to add what he said about the connection, and you know, for us guys, we hardly do these things. We hardly get together, you know, and do something like this, especially, you know, just like now, we know our history, and yeah, I think it's a great initiative for us guys to come together and do something like this, and yeah, I think it's great. Thanks.
Let's take this thing forward. I'm happy to be here today. I'd like to thank the Gidinene who introduced me to these things. I enjoy it very much. So I'm looking forward next time to build it more and more and more and more. As we are gentlemen, it builds us a strength so that we can be a man. Man enough. Thank you very much, guys. Let's keep it up.
Can I say something?
Yes. No.
I thought this hike it was only about fitness, but yeah, I was wrong. What our host told us in the beginning, I really liked it. I didn't know it was deeper than just fitness. I'm young now. I'm going to college soon. So I think this trip is really going to help me to become a better man, to one day become a good man like my dad. So I think this trip is very good for young men, also men, because in today's society we're painted as monsters. So I think this gathering, it's very good, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about KwaZulu Natal, the history behind it. Yeah.
The dead.
The main man.
The master copy. The master.
I actually didn't know we'd have such a conversation. I thought men's outing is just we're just gonna walk, like my son has just said, and as we sit down and talk, a lot of things come up to say. It's the first time I'm having something like this. First time I'm in a men's hiking, and wise man introduced me to this, and but that one was everybody's, and this one, Gatsheni, you big up to you for introducing this one, and I think I'm your big fan, and I want to be your big fan going forward. Especially that's being creative, that's being tough. I was expecting that maybe it would be 50 of us. And as we get here, I say it's not about the numbers. It's a quality of whoever is there must really have time to have the right attention, the right way to express himself without having too much, on his shoulders, or being judged and what. As we walk here, I see very simple guys. You guys, we're just walking and having a good time, and whereas at some point you left us a bit too far back. But you waited for us and took some pictures and encouraged us to come. But then I think also what encouraged me more is, there's things you want to talk to your son and you can't talk to him, or your children, you want to talk to them. And this thing, it just took everything, a lot of weight from me, threw it to my son, and luckily the schools were closed and he was able to come here. And he sees you, he doesn't look only at me as, here's my dad, he only has a picture of me, but now he's got other guys to say, oh, okay, this is a group of friends my father mingles with. What kind of a father do I have? Had I gone to a bar wherever and bring him with, he would still be happy to come with me. But he was going to say, oh, is this my father's, they say we are an average of your friends. What is it? Whatever that big English is. So coming here with being with you here, it says something to my son to say, my father is this kind of a person. Whether he's a bad kind of a person, but this is the kind of, he must have the definition of who's how his parent is as a father. And I'm glad, guys, you helped me a lot. I'm so happy about this. And it came at the right time when the schools are closed. And I hope in the near future we'll have more children to join us. Us here, we bring the children, whether they are girls or I would be happy that we bring those children here, and while they look at nature, and they just happy and enjoy themselves while they get tired of walking. But yeah, that's my input to this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'll tell you now. When was it? Yeah, a few years back. And we went to Ingogo and I was with my girlfriend, we went there. I was amazed on the richness of the history of this place, of that place.
Too much.
And coming today, you explained to me what Ulundo Imahlikihliki means. And that's a definition I never got. Now that just puts the puzzle together to say, you know, that place is so beautiful, but I didn't know it before. You've just explained how it looked before. And, you know, in that Skozo, we even go to a place, one of the rooms where they keep Queen Elizabeth after the war. She tried to break up some peace. What's this? Bring some peace or whatever. Smoke a peace pipe with King Gatsheni. So he sent him a gun, a Bible, and the third thing, I think it was a Wozangos or something. I'm not 100% sure. I have the picture here. As we were talking, yes. Here's the picture. I have that picture. And I have that picture. It's actually more of those pictures. And it dawned to me to say how important it is to have those monuments. Why the Boers and the whites keep the monuments. Why it is so important for us to have that heritage site. You know, it just took us back. This Ulundi was fought for. At some point there was no Ulundi. At some point there was Ulundi and it was destroyed. And then after that it had to be rebuilt. And that explains as well why last year when there was these riots, this July riots thing, why the people of Ulundi especially and the police were able to protect Ulundi. That's because they know what it took. They know what it took to build Ulundi. And I don't know if they know how it was before, but it just shows that the culture around the area, people are so much, they understand what it takes to build up something. To destroy it is an overnight thing, but to build it up again is one thing. Even it can take even longer. So those people protected that place, and the areas around it, Abonongoma and company, they used to go and buy at Ulundi. So after the July riots, Ulundi made even more money just by being protected and kept alive during the times of the riots. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is we may not know how much we're worth now, but if you can look back as to where you come from, it brings you, it can even bring tears to you. Yes, at some point I was there. At some point, and that makes you to start looking forward to say, I'll never allow it to happen to my family. You know, when I groom up my girls, my boys, I'll make sure they never go back to where I was. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing us here. And we shall make sure that we don't go back to where we were, and we shall have a clearer future.
It also adds to these youngsters as we introduce this book, to show him life is not easy by climbing up. So that he will know that to be successful in life is difficult, it's not easy. It's learning from there what we are doing. I like that skitty that you introduce this young boy so that he can see there is no dodgy deals in life. You must go shortcuts. That's how I'm saying it's better in the future we introduce those youngsters so that they will know.
Just to add on to that one, while you're climbing, you also get wisdom. I was just thinking, if you check in the Bible, most stories, those great people, God was calling them to the mountain to speak to them. So climbing that thing, you had to be fit.
You have to be fit.
That's one thing. You couldn't just go and listen to God there if you are full of beer and papa. So besides that one, just to add on to wisdom, if when we were there, we were looking at this mountain as something that's impossible. And while we are here, this view you won't see when you're down there. So if someone is successful in life, it comes with something. It comes with the effort to get there. So if you want to be there, you must know there must some pain that I must gain to be there. I must share the pain.
Yes.
if you come with lots of mentality, when are you gonna come with the aeroplane seat here? You'll never you'll never cherish it the way. And when they chase you down, you'll think it's easy to go back. Now, if you can climb it tomorrow, it will be more easier than today.
Yes.
So in short, we can say this was God willing that we need to climb up so that we can discuss serious issues.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. You'll never know your strength until you have difficulty.
Yeah.
You know, climbing the mountain, it just tests your strength. How strong are you?
And your heart also.
You know, how many times we wanted to go back.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here. I don't think, no, guys, you can go up, you'll find me here, especially around that fence.
And I said, that was the most difficult phase.
Yes. So our strength can only be tested by difficulty, unfortunately.
Now, as I'm sharing this, looking at the balance, we are both balanced, but the media or the architect of mediocre has designed that men are this and women are this in terms of equality. Hence, they're introducing women's rights. I like the part he put in. When men came from war, they didn't know how to run the industry. Women were already running the firms. If you look at the era of 1970 to 1980, in that period, there was an establishment of women's rights, women's march, and there were laws. And now those laws were saying, we will take care of the women. When men came back, they were able to do hand skills, but they couldn't do anymore those hand skills. So the man will go out in order to provide for the family. When he gets to the farm or to the farm, he won't be hired. Why? Because the skills are only reserved for the plan, for the bigger plan. What is that plan? It's to dismantle the black family. It's to dismantle the African family. Because it was only then, by the end of the 1970s, when the boy didn't know where the father is, where the daughter didn't know where the mother is. It was then it began. 1980s, the drugs came in. So you look at the system, it's all part of the study. I mean, I can share all the way. But the main focus here is that we need to develop a new network. What do you do? What do I do? How can we trade our skills? How can we have a group mentality of economics, group economics? How can the son rise up and maintain what I've started? How can I do that? You go out, you make that money from that firm, you store it, and then you start something new. So the next generation will not have to beg, will not have to start from scratch where you started. They need to start from somewhere. Because I mean, it's for a long time, a black child, an African person, to say, because we're really not black, we're just brown. You know the logic behind the colors, ne? We're brown and we're all shades of brown. And there are just a few black ones. You look into the indigo children. Now, coming back to this part of the economy, because it's a finance that works and makes things function. The family, it's a love, it's a structure, it's a design. Now, how can we unite? I'm calling men to unite and saying, let's grow, let's have knowledge, let's have wisdom in order to lead, in order to protect our families. By the ability to protect our families, we can protect our communities, because we have this thing called the village. Only our families can restore the image of the village and its value and quality. Ingane yami ingane yakho. Uma ngingekho mina uyibonile ikubonile. Noma yenzani izokusaba. Because we have an understanding as elders. I cannot always be there. Now with this chaos that is going on, how can that happen? So we need to bring that same mentality back to the people. And this is why I'm calling men. And this is a first start. Because my first important reason was to saying, let's have a start. It's one of the business concepts that is the biggest one. No matter how many the ideas you can think of. But if you don't start, nothing starts. No change begins. No development takes shape. If you need those, let's enter something zoqhubeka. NuNkulunkulu yakutshela uthi take a step closer to me. I'll do the rest of the steps. So we need to have that start. So we need to inspire each other to have a start. But the conversation and the point will be addressed more on the downside, because we also have something else which is an element. Me, from my side, I'd like to say thank you for coming, thank you for joining, and thank you for bringing the young one. We hope for next time we'll have more, and there are so many ideas that are coming, and this is just the beginning. In terms of the history side, there are more details which will inspire people, because they focus it to saying, where are the hands of men in the foundations of any establishment? It's everywhere. It's just it's not spoken about, because people are praising the walls, they're praising the windows, they're praising the roof, but they don't see it's actually the foundation that is holding it all together. It's the man that holds it together. Women come and just furnish it. They just make it beautiful. But men create a template to build. I thank you.
Yes.
Let me intervene there. Maybe what Gatsheni has said has stimulated something on some of us. Maybe let's just take from the grown-ups few notes from you and share your sentiments of what Gatsheni has touched. Maybe there is something that has stimulated that you wish you wanna share.
It's a question. Is there anyone who wants to share something based on what I've just said?
You know, if I have to add,
just three of you.
Because I've heard what you said and it was beautiful.
If I have to put anything there, I'll be spoiling.
Yeah.
that was the closing. I can't think beyond. I'll be messing up. That's the words of it.
So which means we're all gonna be digesting on this one until
we meet again. Yeah. Okay. So in my side, just to highlight one more thing that I've said, we're gonna go down. We're gonna have another element, which is gonna be more exciting. Also, it's just two things. We'll see if the other one can fit, considering the time and the energy. Okay, guys. So we can proceed now. Down. Let's have our fruits. We're not gonna eat them there. There's food down there. Let's have fruits, and then we just gel, and then we continue. Hi again.
That's our calling center.
and this also works.
I didn't know Gatsheni is so smart.
What it really means to live life golden. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl.